Hello students, I am Dr. Beena P, Assistant Professor of Physics, Government First Grade College, Tharikere. Let's take up superconductivity. Today let us know what is superconductivity, its experimental observations, Meissner effect, types of superconductors, BCS theory of superconductivity, and its practical applications. In 1911, H. Kamerlingh-Onnes discovered the phenomenon of superconductivity while studying the resistance of metals at low temperatures. Superconductivity is a phenomenon in which electrical resistivity of a material suddenly drops to zero at its transition temperature, or transition temperature is that temperature at which the electrical resistivity of a material reduces to zero. We can see that the substances which exhibit superconductivity is called superconductors. In simple words, superconductors are materials that conduct electricity with no resistance. Let us see this graph of resistance versus temperature. If we observe the first plot, that is in case of a normal conductor, we can see that as the temperature decreases, the resistance also decreases but does not reach zero even at 0 Kelvin. Because all conductors are not pure. They will have some amount of impurities within them. So, this non-zero resistance is due to impurities. The atoms in the conductor will be vibrating always, and due to these vibrations, the resistance will not come to 0. But if we see the second plot, that in superconductors, at critical temperature, the resistance of the superconductor suddenly reduces to 0, and hence infinite current always flows through the superconductor. This was observed in case of mercury, whose critical temperature was 4.2 Kelvin. Let us come to experimental observations of superconductivity. First, let us take up persistent current. To explain this persistent current, we require this figure. There is two rings. We are taking two rings. One ring has a temperature greater than critical temperature, and hence it is in a normal conducting state. Another ring has a temperature which is less than critical temperature, and it is a superconductor. Let us connect these rings to a circuit as shown. When the switch is put on, in the normal conductor, the current starts flowing with a certain resistance. But as the switch is opened, the current flow stops. But if you observe the second circuit, that is a superconductor, as the switch is on, the current starts flowing without any resistance. And as the switch is opened, the flow of current does not stop or reduce to 0. Here we can observe, even in the absence of a power source, continuously the current is flowing through the superconductor. Hence, this is what we call as persistent current, and it can be defined as steady current flow in superconducting ring without any decrease in its value even in the absence of power source. Next observation is isotope effect. In 1950, Maxwell and Reynolds were working with different isotopes of mercury. They found that critical temperature of mercury was varying with the mass of the isotopes. Then we have to know what are isotopes. Isotopes are atoms of same substances having same atomic number but different mass numbers. According to isotope effect, the critical temperature Tc of the superconductors varies with isotopic mass m, and this can be shown as Tc proportional to 1 divided by m to the power of alpha, or Tc into m alpha is equal to constant, where alpha is the isotopic coefficient and is found to be 0.5 for mercury. We can observe that isotopic coefficient is different for different elements. We can see isotopes of mercury also. The observed isotopes, the found isotopes are Hg, that is mercury 193 to mercury 206 with various atomic masses. Next is Meissner effect. In 1933, Meissner and Oceanfield explained Meissner effect. Let us study it through this figure. We have a normal conductor with T greater than Tc and it is placed in a magnetic field. The magnetic flux penetrates through the specimen. Now this conductor is cooled and its temperature is less than Tc. Then it becomes a superconductor. Suddenly the magnetic field is thrown out or expelled out from the specimen. Or we can take it in another way. Let us take a normal conductor, cool it below Tc, then apply the magnetic field. We can see here magnetic field does not pass through the specimen. So superconductor behaves like a perfect diamagnet. We can take the statement of Meissner effect. The Meissner effect is stated as expulsion of magnetic field from superconductor during its transition to the superconducting state when it is cooled below the critical temperature. A superconductor with little magnetic field is said to be in a Meissner state, and this Meissner state can be broken down when applied magnetic field is very strong. Let us apply Meissner effect this way. Vector H is applied field strength, vector B is magnetic flux density, and intensity of magnetization is represented as vector M. This can be put into a form vector B is equal to mu naught into vector H plus vector M. According to Meissner effect, for a superconductor, T is less than Tc, and since the magnetic flux is expelled out of the superconductor, vector B is equal to 0. Then the above equation becomes 0 is equal to mu naught into vector H plus vector M, or vector H is equal to minus vector M. The magnetic susceptibility can be defined as chi is equal to a ratio of intensity of magnetization to applied field strength, which is equal to vector M divided by vector H, which is equal to vector M divided by minus vector M. Here vector H is replaced by minus vector M and it is equal to minus 1. For a material whose susceptibility value is equal to minus 1, then that material is a perfect diamagnet. Hence, superconductor behaves like a perfect diamagnet. Let us look into types of superconductors. High magnetic fields always destroy superconductivity and restore the normal conducting state. Depending upon the behavior of the superconductor in external magnetic field, we can classify them as two categories: type 1 superconductor and type 2 superconductors. Type 1 superconductors are also called as soft superconductors. In this graph, intensity of magnetization is taken along y-axis and applied magnetic field along x-axis. When a magnetic field is applied to a specimen, the intensity of magnetization increases and abruptly becomes 0 at critical magnetic field Hc. Two regions can be observed here. Below Hc, it is superconducting state, and above Hc, it is a normal state. So, superconductivity is suddenly destroyed at critical magnetic field. The properties of type 1 superconductors are: they are perfectly diamagnet, they follow Meissner effect, the value of critical magnetic field is very low, that is, we observe here it is to be 0.1 Tesla. Since the critical magnetic field is very low, they find limited applications. Type 2 superconductors are represented this way. It's a comparison graph of type 1 and type 2 superconductors. In type 2 graph, we can observe there is two critical magnetic fields, Hc1 and Hc2. When we apply magnetic field to a specimen, the magnetization increases till Hc1 and then the magnetization starts decreasing and at Hc2 it becomes 0. So we can observe three regions over here. First region within Hc1, that is below Hc1, it is a superconducting state. Between Hc1 and Hc2, it is a mixed state where neither superconducting state or mixed normal state is observed, and above Hc2, it is a normal state. Hc1 is lower critical magnetic field and Hc2 is upper critical magnetic field. These type 2 superconductors, they are also called as hard superconductors because high magnetic field is required to destroy superconductivity in this case. The properties are, they do not jump abruptly to normal state as we have seen in type 1 superconductor. They show perfect diamagnetism below Hc1. The large fields are required to destroy the superconducting properties. Hence, they have high practical applications. They can be used to prepare high field magnets which find various applications. This is a list of superconductors exhibiting critical temperature Tc, critical magnetic field Hc, and type of superconductors. BCS theory of superconductivity. In 1957, physicists Bardeen, Cooper, and Schrieffer proposed a quantum theory of superconductivity known as BCS theory. The BCS theory explains superconductivity involving two phenomena, electron-phonon-electron interaction and Cooper pairs. According to BCS theory, lattice vibrations play an important role in superconductivity. To explain this theory, let us consider a lattice consisting of positive ions. First figure shows an undistorted positive ion lattice in which the positive ions are vibrating in their mean position. When an electron tries to enter such lattice, the electron cannot pass through this vibrations. Second figure shows a distorted positive ion lattice. For that, when an electron enters a undistorted positive ion lattice, the positive ions around the electrons get attracted towards the electron and gets displaced from its position, and the bonds get distorted. Then we have a region which consists an electron surrounded by 4 positive ions vibrating in its mean position. This region enclosed inside a circle in the second figure is called a phonon. A phonon is defined as quantum of energy associated with vibration of crystal lattice. When an electron travels along a lattice, the distortions follow the electron path. This is explained for a single electron. But if the number of electrons is increased, more and more phonons are produced. So this physicist Bardeen, Cooper and Schrieffer, they got Nobel Prize for this theory in 1972. In this picture, we are observing a second electron is entering into the lattice. When a second electron enters into the lattice, electron-electron repulsion has to take place. But instead of it, electron-phonon attraction through a weak link. This is observed, and this is what we call as electron-phonon-electron interaction. So here, electron-electron attractively interacts through a phonon. So means they both two electrons which has to get repelled, they attract together through a phonon, and this electron pair is called as Cooper pair. Here, two electron phonons easily moves along the lattice without any resistance. The electrons of the Cooper pair are of opposite spin, and hence total spin of this Cooper pair is 0. The binding energy of the Cooper pair is of order 10 to the power of minus 3 electron volt. As the temperature exceeds critical temperature, Cooper pairs are broken, indicating a transition to normal state from superconducting state. Electrons and phonons as vectors, and let these electrons move in the form of waves. Now if the first electron with a wave vector k, it emits a phonon with a wave vector q, then the electrons get scattered as k minus q. And this phonon is absorbed by the second electron in the lattice, whose wave vector is k dash, and gets scattered as k dash plus q. We can say like this: one electron interacts with a positive ion in the lattice and deforms the lattice. Next, a second electron with a compatible momentum passing nearby, it interacts with the same ion in the distorted lattice and minimizes its energy. If we see what are the applications of superconductivity, superconducting magnets find many applications. The superconducting magnets are used in MRI, that is magnetic resonance imaging, which is a way of looking at the soft parts of the body. Brains can be scanned easily using MRI. Superconductors can also be used for transportation. It is used for the superconducting magnets can be used to produce levitating train. The idea behind this is to put very powerful superconducting magnets on the train, then use copper coils in the track which use repulsion to lift the train and it makes it to levitate. So we can observe that superconductors opens up a class of new generation of transport technologies like maglev. Maglev is magnetic levitating trains, and these trains are more faster when compared to a conventional train. Superconductors are also used to make sensitive magnetometers such as SQUIDs. SQUIDs means superconducting quantum interference devices. And they are used to detect weak magnetic vibrations produced by the brain, that is due to biological currents, which thereby helps in uh, cure the problems associated with the brain. They can also be used to detect submarines. They can find ore deposits which is underground, sense minute signals from the stars, etc. If you go to the next application, we see electrical cables. Huge amount of electrical energy is wasted just heating up of power cables. So we can use superconductors to sort out this problem. A lot of energy can be saved using superconductors. Superconductors are also used in Large Hadron Collider experiment at the CERN Particle Physics Lab. Idea here is in using the superconductor is to accelerate protons and antiprotons to almost the speed of light in a circle and then smash them together. To keep these particles in a circle, it requires a very huge magnetic field, and these fields can be provided by superconductors. So we have come to the end of this topic of this lecture. Thank you.